My name is Edwin Perez-Hernandez. I graduated this year, 2023, with a major in photography, a bachelor's in fine arts.
Amazing. And are you a first generation college student?
I am a first generation college student.
Oh, what does it mean to you when you hear that term? Like when you hear yourself say it, like you are first generation college graduate?
It's changed. At first, it was like something that I was just achieving to kind of push myself forward and be able to survive, to being able to make my parents proud, to accomplishing something that I thought was something that was expected from me, to something that I finally learned that was beneficial to me, that benefited both my parents in showing them that their sacrifices weren't for nothing, but also that I'm able to push through and accomplish anything that I want to do, not something that is being forced upon me, because I feel like that's a small thing that many first gen students sometimes feel at first, that they're forced to finish their schooling because it's something that their parents wanted them to do, because it's something that they were sacrificing to do, but it's actually something that benefits me and something that I'm able to show to my parents to make them proud.
And where are your parents from?
Uh, Both my parents and my step parent are from Mexico. My biological parents are from Guanajuato, the state. My mom's from Silao, and my dad is from Leon, and my stepdad is from El DF, city of Mexico. So they're all share a common background and a background that has been enriched in me growing up.
And which high school did you attend?
So I come from Palatine, which is an hour and 5 minutes from DeKalb. So I attended Palatine High School, which is one of the two high schools in my area.
And when you're going through high school, did you ever think that, was college something that you wanted to do? Was it like something that was like kind of like in your rearview mirror, like where you're looking ahead, or was it just something that you just kind of was like, oh, I'm just gonna go into the workforce after?
College was mostly something that was put in front of me instead of in my rearview mirror. Every time I was like in the back seat or behind the wheel, it was right in front of me the whole time. From high school, it was also pushed onto me that college is very important. My high school had this organization, or kind of in school service called Project Excel, where it got a lot of, or many first generation students in the area that attend the high school in a 4 year track on kind of what to expect in college, as well as kind of having some classes that prepared you for the real world when it came to like cooking, finances, things like that, just to make sure that once we're out of high school that we know what we're doing and what to expect, so we're not lost like many other first generation students who, once they step out of their cap and gown from high school and take a foot on campus, they're looking around, not knowing what to do, not used to having to manage their own schedule, um, not having the resource of kind of the comfortability of guidance counselors, parents, teachers reminding them what to do every day, but knowing that you have your own schedule, you have to reach out to your professors if you want to succeed, and you have to be self-sufficient to succeed in college.
How was your experience like, especially being a first college, graduate student, trying to, find colleges or, thinking about going to college? Like, how was the process, or how did you feel during that process when you were actually into like going to go to college?
Um, Kind of applying and looking for colleges was thankfully one that was assisted again with Project Excel. Um, for my senior year, we had a class that focused only on college applications and scholarships. So they taught me about I forgot the website already, but the website that lets you apply to colleges with a click of a button. You just type in your essays and everything, just one website, and they send it out to all these colleges. But also how to look for scholarships that benefit you, for me, it was a little bit harder since I was looking at photography or anything that had to do with the arts. The five schools I applied to were Loyola, St. Xavier, Flashpoint, uh, Southern Illinois University, or not Southern, University of Illinois in Springfield and NIU. And something that I was taught, which I'm very thankful for, is to make sure you kind of reach out to the universities, the people that are in charge of kind of attendance and accepting students, as well as studying and learning about the financial aid to not make a mistake. And if there's like a school that's accepted you, but is asking for too much money, to kind of learn that that may not be achievable and go towards a school that's actually wants you and actually wants to pay for you, which helped me a lot. This one of the reasons why I chose NIU as well.
During that journey, especially throughout your college career, did you feel supported by your family?
Uh, Thankfully, yes. I know many, especially from like a Hispanic background that I come from, many first gen students or students in general have this pressure to go to these larger kind of careers, whether it be in health, in law, in business, financing. Thankfully, with my parents, they told me that they would support me no matter what I chose. And that kind of took a massive weight off of me since I was able to go into the arts with photography and my parents having my full support, not even uh, kind of putting those jabs in saying like, oh, you're going to an art school, you're not going to do much out of it, but them saying no matter what you do, no matter where you go, we'll be here to support you. We just want you to be happy with your career choice, which has been kind of something that has kept me going, knowing that I have their support no matter what.
And what surprised you about your journey throughout college? Did anything surprise you at all?
uh I would kind of just say the routes my life has taken. To begin with, when I first stepped into NIU, I only saw myself doing my classes, club volleyball, and some other clubs I may want to join. I never saw myself in like a political aspect. And just this senior year, I joined the student government. I became a senator that represents this College of Visual and Performing Arts. And I just thought I was doing my job normally as a student, like as a senator, and I got Senator of the Year, which means I've been doing my work and I kind of apparently been going above and beyond. So if I asked myself 4 years ago, would I see myself being in like school politics? I would have said no. I would have just been doing something else in my room, reading something like that. But just kind of like turns that you don't really expect throughout college, the things you don't really expect yourself getting involved in, or jobs either. Because I have a photography job here on campus. I worked on residence halls. I've had an internship at a museum near the university. All of that is just something you don't really expect. It's just things that get thrown your way throughout college.
And then did you have people that, also other Hispanics and that like supported you, or did you have, a group of friends where you felt comfortable with?
Oh yeah, I had a few groups of friends. One of the groups is two people, Drew and Emma, who are also photo students. I met them through the photo department. Drew, which is a funny story, he emailed me during the COVID season because we were all online asking for a homework assignment, and that turned into a friendship that's lasting pretty much these last 3 years, going on to two more since we're both doing our master's degrees. Um, in volleyball, there's an amazing group of guys that I've met. We've all came from the same suburbs. We also probably played each other in high school because our high schools were in the at least a 20-mile radius. So it was something I didn't expect, but we're still friends to this day, and we're still going to be playing volleyball after this and meeting up, which is great. Um, Hispanic wise, I'm kind of disappointed to say not as much. Uh, I did had an outreach my freshman year, but once COVID happened, that kind of got cut off for a while. And it kind of led me to create works that I'm creating now as a photography student. I have a series called What Does It Mean to Be Chicano or Chicana, where I reach out to students in the area so they could share their stories and perspectives. Well, I take pictures of them to show their kind of definition of what it means to be Chicano or Chicana.
And during that series of yours, have you learned anything about yourself through this project that you're also working on?
Yeah, I was actually one of the subjects because I was like starting off the project and I didn't have anybody at first. But what I was able to learn for myself was that for me, it's confidence. I know something that many Chicanos and Chicanas have is kind of a lack of confidence because they don't know where they come from. They're always put in that in the middle. They're not Mexican enough sometimes, they're not American enough, and sometimes they don't know what they are. And I was in that same boat. I was when I was younger, I was kind of ashamed being Mexican because I didn't have much and I felt like, oh, being Mexican means I don't deserve as much as these other students, which is the worst thing I could have ever thought. I'm very glad I'm out of that. But I've learned that it's confidence and self love. If we don't have self love or we don't have confidence, how are we supposed to show and appreciation for our culture, share it? How are we even supposed to love our families if we don't love ourselves? How are we supposed to show appreciation for others if we don't appreciate ourselves or where we come from? So that was one of like the biggest things I was able to take home from that.
Another thing too, was there any high points that you had yourself during college? Like any high points at all?
There there are a few. Um uh Getting close to the photography department and being able to have the opportunities I have, being in a point where my professor is recommending me for these positions. She recommended me to be an intern at the Elwood House Museum. She recommended me to get my position at the photography and marketing for the university. With volleyball, the high point was going to Kansas City 2 months ago for nationals and being able to experience that with teammates that I've been growing with for the past 4 years. Excuse me. Um, and just kind of getting to know everybody in this university, but also learning that the people I meet aren't going to be somebody I'm connected with for my whole life. So also kind of that high point of learning that there are lows, that people may be exiting my life or this experience won't be forever, but it's something to kind of cherish and to hold on dear to, but not cling to it and wanting it always, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And were there any like frustrations? I mean, you coming, you're first gen, were there any frustrations when you were beginning college or even throughout college? Were there any frustrations at all?
There have been a lot, finances, which is something that though many people prepared me for, it was still something that you can't really fully prepare for. You can't be 100% ready for it because things come in left and right, expenses that you didn't expect. When I was a freshman, I got my first serious injury. I tore every ligament in my right ankle, and I thought it was just sprained, but I've learned so much through that experience that not to always rely on kind of assistance from other people because though people will be willing to help you, there are times where you need to be self-sufficient. Uh, Sometimes things can be expensive, like hospitals, and they can be scary, but kind of learning how to maneuver through insurances and how to take care of yourself, how to deal with hospitals, how to deal with accommodating things while you're injured in the university, and how to talk to people. It was one of the most frustrating things, just having to walk across all of campus with crutches and a booted up leg, having to talk to professors. One professor still marked me down, called me absent, even though I had an excuse. It was the morning of the class that I had to go to the hospital, and my professor's like, don't see a doctor's note. The huge packet I have from the doctor, she still said that's not enough and still marked me down as absent, which was frustrating in its own. But that's another thing that professors may not always be as accommodating as the university wants them to be. So that's something that you need to learn.
And were there any like life hacks that got you through college?
Um, there are a few kind of like, especially when it came to the resources given to the university. If you don't feel like kind of making your own meal some days, look around campus because there's a lot of things that go on with free food. Um, if you have kind of like access to a dining hall, it's not really a life hack, but a smart strategy to have is plan out your meal times. That's something that kind of got me through college a lot was making sure I wake up early enough to get to the food before anybody else got there, making sure that I picked enough time for myself to go eat. Because if I didn't eat and I was going between classes, I wouldn't eat at all. But also kind of being in the know-how and when to apply for classes. Because if you apply too late, you're not going to have access to the class that you need, and you're going to have to wait a whole year to take it the next semester or the next school year, which is already a pain in its own. But another one was kind of getting close to your advisor and your professors. That's kind of the biggest life hack because they open so many doors. And if you are on the wrong foot with your professor, they might just give you a grade and that'll be it. Or it might even go to the point where you'll have no contact with your professor and they just want you out of there. So they'll do kind of be very indifferent with you, which sucks. You want to have a good relationship with your professors, especially if it's one that you're going to be in with like 3 years, especially for like art. Get close with those faculty and staff because they can help you so much. And it was something I'm very glad I was able to get in with.
And being a first gen, it's very difficult as we try to navigate throughout college too. Did at any point, did you kind of feel, like I guess a survivor's guilt or just guilty for the fact that you are in college, it's something that your parents can't do here? Did you ever feel like any guilt at all?
Not guilt. I kind of felt kind of a sense of kind of sadness because it is something that my parents can't do. And it is something that my mom mostly had a chance to do. But with the kind of shot she took of coming to the United States, it's one she gave up. And kind of having all these benefits of being a United States citizen is something that I do feel guilty for. College is something outside of it, just us as citizen as a whole and the first generation. I have the luxury, if I ever so want to, go to Mexico and see my family and come back. But my parents don't have that luxury. So that is one of the most guilty parts that I feel because my mom won't be able to see her parents until I do take the step forward or find a way to get her citizenship so she could go see her family. Well, I have this luxury to see my mom whenever I want and see my grandma whenever I want. And my mom will never have that, which is the most guilt I feel being a first gen student.
Did you feel like they were living through you as when you got that diploma and you graduated and they saw you in the cap and gown? Do you feel like at that moment they felt like they were living through you?
Uh, I always thought they were living with me. It was like something we were all experiencing. But as soon as I stepped out of the ceremony and had like my diploma, my regalia all on, um, they wanted to wear it. And it was at that point I saw that they were even in the slightest living through me and kind of getting to cherish the accomplishment that not only I achieved, but they achieved as well. And it was a kind of it was great to see. Also, another point that made it clear that they were kind of living through me, which is all great to them, was the video that you saw on YouTube when it was shown in commencement. I was told that my parents were crying. My stepdad started tearing up like heavily once he saw the picture that I sent in to be displayed of my high school graduation. And it was just kind of something that I'm proud of. I was able to kind of at least get a grasp of what it feels like to graduate from university.
And how did it make you feel graduating as a first generation college grad? How did that make you feel? Also being also the fact that your parents have made a lot of and so many difficult sacrifices throughout their entire lives just to come here. How did that make you feel to finally just walk across that, in the ceremony and all that? How did that make you feel once you were able to see your parents after?
Well, sometimes I kind of say it was a bit indifferent, but also a little bit surreal since I am continuing my education here. When I did get the diploma at first, it kind of felt like I was getting a ticket saying you're coming back for another 2 years for another degree. But stepping outside was uh a little bit, it was joyous because I was rumbling around. There's like thousands of people outside of convocation center waiting for their families and their kids. And I had to like look around, give my hugs to my friends and family or my friends and faculty that were there, and then trying to scramble around some more, trying to find my family. And then kind of thinking back on it, it was like very, it felt fictional because it so much was going on, and then seeing my family after I graduated, after seeing everybody else in the crowd, it felt like it wasn't real. And I feel like I'm still processing that because don't feel much excitement, but also I don't feel anything else. Might feel like because I've had so much to do right after graduation, but looking forward to it, like I feel like it is something I would be very happy to share with everybody because it was something that my parents were waiting. I think I'm about to be 22, so 22 years of their lives kind of stand there and being able to say my son did it and everything I did was worth it.
Now, something myself. I was also I'm also a first college graduate as well. And I know when I was finishing up my bachelor's too, I felt like that degree wasn't really for me, but instead more for them. If that makes sense. I was gonna ask you actually, like, do you feel like this was more for them instead of for you?
I want to say yes, but I also feel like it was for both me and my parents. For me, since I was able to choose the career I wanted to choose, and the past 4 years and the decisions I made to go to this school and the decisions I made on campus have been one that I'm happy with. Though there are a lot of things I wish I could have changed, that's already in the past. And if I didn't make those decisions, I don't think I would be here where I am today. But also, the same go with my parents. If they didn't make their decisions, if they didn't take the roads they took, they wouldn't be here today with me. And it was just kind of like two entities wanting the same thing coming together at the end.
And for yourself, is especially as you're still processing and thinking about everything, is there, and I know you're going for your master's now, but is there any advice or anything that you wish you would had the chance to tell other first generation college students who are going through the process themselves? Is there anything, any advice or anything that you feel like you wish you could have told yourself that you could tell them?
It's scary, no matter how much you prep for it, no matter who you have next to you, it's going to be terrifying because there are going to be times where you're alone and you don't have a support from somebody immediate. You could still call people, you could still text people, but there will be points where you will need to sit down and think to yourself and reassure yourself that what you're doing is worth it. There have been many times where I've been in my room, in my dorm, alone, second guessing, thinking, is this really worth the hassle? Is this really worth the sacrifice? Is the next 4 years really going to be worth all the hard work I need to put into. But you just need to reassure yourself it is, because you're not doing it for others. Uh, you may be doing it for your parents, but most importantly, you're doing it for yourself. And you yourself is always going to come first. Your mental health, your physical health, uh, your your grades, all of that, you're going to come first. You could still put your family next to you as something that's very important, but if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to kind of be with your parents later on, because you're going to be so stuck in whatever you're thinking of. You're going to be so stuck in whatever is kind of degrading your mental health or your physical health that you won't be able to fully function later on. So put yourself first and foremost, because your well being is very important.